Well, hello everybody. I hope that you enjoy this video of me making one of my mini zines. So it's really easy to start off. You just need a piece of A4 paper or US letter size, and you're going to fold it in half horizontally, making a nice clean crisp fold. I'm going to open it out and then fold it the other way. And again, we just want to make sure it lines up really nicely and a nice clean crisp fold. Now once you've done those, you can open it out. You're going to take the bottom edge and fold it up to the middle line you've just created. And then after that, turn it round and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just folding it over and making a nice, clean, crisp crease. Now this is where the proper zine making gets started. We're going to make it into a booklet. So I've opened it out and folded it in half again. And that line there is where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut across that centre line just to the horizontal line that's above it, no further. And that's all you need to do to change a piece of paper into a zine. If I open it out, you can have a look. I can fold it together and then fold it in half again. And that's my zine created. That's all my pages done. So this makes 8 pages, including the cover. So front cover, pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a back cover. Now, when I've done all this, this is where I start off to start thinking about what zine I might be creating. So I'm going to unfold it all out again because it's much easier to make it when it's a flat piece of paper. And this bit here, this is going to be the front cover. Now you might have seen some of my witchy zines on my Etsy shop. I'll put a link down below. I'm going to create another one today. And I really wanted to go with a kind of vintage browns and creams, kind of cottage vibe, because I really want to do a new zine, which is tips and tricks for the Cottage Witch. So I've got some of these vintage paper reproduced. I bought these on Amazon. I can put a link down below. And I really like this one. It's really nice vintage brown colour with these robins on, like a postcard. So I just stick that on and then cut the excess off. It's really important that you cut all of those edges so that it doesn't end up going onto another one of your pages. Now these lovely washi stickers that I've got here, they're also a really good buy from Amazon. Again, I'll put a link down below. I thought this was perfect for the front cover. It's a little bit big for this part of my zine. So again, I'm just going to trim off the edges because then it will fit perfectly for where I want it to be. The real focus on the front cover is the cottage itself because that's going to link with my zine. So I wanted it quite central and I don't really mind about losing the bits on the side. So once I'd stuck that down, I had a look in my stash to see what else I might put in. So just to make it kind of pop a little bit, so I got some washi tape from my stash. You can see some I've got on the side, but I wanted this brown one really, so that it kind of matched all the colours in the scheme. And I just wanted a small bit just to sort of highlight the bits that I wanted people to focus on. So it's just above that cottage because I want the cottage to be the main focus. So after I'd done that, I had a look in my stash again, see what else I can put on. And I've got these papers from an old book. I go to charity shops and if I find a nice vintage looking book, I'll buy it quite cheaply and then I can use it in lots of different ways in my paper crafting. So this was a bit that I'd actually ripped off from another piece of paper crafting. There was only a small bit left, but I thought that sort of ragged edge, that tear, looks really nice with this vibe I'm going for. So I thought just a little bit of that on the bottom would look good and cover some of that stark white paper. I wanted to cover as much of the white as I could. It needed a bit of a trim. Also, I wasn't too bothered about what the words say. It's such a small bit. I didn't think anyone's going to really worry about what those words are. So it doesn't matter that it has nothing to do with my topic at all. It's just more for the aesthetic at the bottom. So what I do on my front covers is I always put my title, and I tend to do my title words separately and cut them out and then rearrange them. So at this point, I found this nice paper that looks like a handmade paper. It's got these sort of flower petals in it. So I thought it was interesting, better than just writing on a white piece of paper. And I chose this kind of vintage pink shade because I thought it would look really good with the front cover. But then when I tried it, I really wasn't that keen. It just didn't stand out enough. So I went back to my pens. I have these really nice double-ended pens with a thick tip and a thin tip in lots of colours. Really enjoy using those. And I chose some that I thought really matched with the colour scheme that was going on. So lots of browns, burnt oranges, yellows, that pink again in case I wanted to use it later. But I went with this dark blue that kind of matches the top of the house, the cottage that we've got on there. Now for these mini zines, as I said, you might have seen them on my Etsy store. They tend to be called Tips and Tricks for whatever witch. I've got an ocean witch one, which I really enjoyed doing. I just absolutely love going to the ocean. I've got one that's for a sky witch, one for a celestial witch, and yeah, I really wanted to do this one for a cottage witch. So I'm doing my lettering now, just really simple. I'm not worrying about doing any calligraphy or anything. I just want it to look bold. And I've gone over the letters to make them even bolder, just in a rough way. I'm not trying to make it perfect. And then I thought, because cottage witch is what I want to stand out, because that's the type of witch I'm doing for this scene, I chose the dark brown. The dark brown fitted really well with the cottage sticker, and also obviously the colours I'm going for. So I've put those ones in capitals so that it's really obvious and they stick out. And then just to make them pop even more, I decided, you'll see in a minute, to put a little border around Cottage Witch. I've done that on quite a few of my zines. It just makes things pop. You can see I just had to rewrite tips because obviously I'd done that in the pink and then I changed my mind on that one. So with my border, I don't even worry about the lines being that straight. Sometimes I go over them a couple of times. I want this kind of just rustic look to it. And then once I've finished all of my lettering, obviously it's time to cut them out. I do like to cut all of the words out separately because then I can have a little play around of where they go on the front cover until I'm happy with what they're doing. So you'll just see I'm trimming them up now, popping them on the front cover ready for me to rearrange. All these bits that I trim off, if they're tiny, obviously I throw them away, but larger bits, like that bit that was underneath Cottage Witch, I will put that back in my stash. It means I've got a ridiculously large number of things in my stash to look through, but quite often, because I'm doing mini zines, which means they're very, very small, I need those little bits. I don't want the huge pieces of paper. I just want small bits that I can stick on, use as accents. So I'm just getting rid of those now. Now to work out my kind of layout, as I said, I want Cottage Witch to really stand out. I just move them about a bit. And in fact, you'll see where I put them now. I actually change it when I go to glue it. I just kind of tend to go with whatever looks good at the time, to be honest. When I come to glue it, I stick for and the a lot more straighter. I go with that on the washi tape. But Cottage Witch is going at the bottom. It's covering up some of those words on that paper that I'd got from an old charity shop book as well. But it doesn't matter because, as I said, the words on there aren't important. It's just for the look, really. So now I've decided where they're going. I'm sticking those on. I quite like it to be a bit higgledy-piggledy. I think higgledy-piggledy is my style. That's the way I work with my craft and my art and just generally my everyday life, I think. But at least it provides a contrast to which I thought I'd go with on the washi tape, make it a little bit more precise so it looks good. The Cottage Witch at the bottom as well, you'll see when I glue it on, that's straighter. I really didn't want to cover up any of the lovely house sticker that I'd put on. So I wanted to make sure that that was the focus, and we've got Cottage Witch at the bottom so people can see what we're going for. So that's it, that's the front cover done. So as you saw, the front cover is in the bottom right hand corner of the zine you've just made, but now I flipped it over, and now in my bottom left hand corner, this is going to be page 1. I've already chosen a number of papers and ephemera from my stash that are going with the colour scheme that I have on the front cover. And at this stage, I'm not actually writing my zine, I'm doing my backgrounds for it. So at the end of this video, you'll see the zine created up to a point, but it will still change and evolve as I put the words on. So these papers I've got here are again from that same stash that I bought from Amazon that the postcard paper came from, that I stuck on the front cover. So I really like this old-fashioned soap title. It's got a lot of space where I can do some writing as well, so that's really useful. But the whole bit of writing at the top, can't really do anything on top of that. So I've chosen a piece of paper not dissimilar to the one I used for the titling actually, and I've just covered up some of that writing. I want to be able to see a bit of the writing because that adds to its charm, but I want some space to write in. After all, my zines are all about tips and tricks for the Cottage Witch. I want to put those tips and tricks and spells in. I don't want to leave it just looking nice. Got a bit of my pink washi tape just to accent it a little bit, and what I'm trying to do here is make a sort of mirror image to what I've done for page 1. So this is going to be a double page spread. So the soap one that I'd put on the left hand side, because I'd put it quite close to the edge and then space in the middle, I want to do the same with this piece of paper, just so that when the page is opened as a double, it kind of makes sense. I really like this dark coloured paper. I thought it went with the scheme. It had got some nice little flowers on. I like the ripped effect, so I went diagonal, and to be honest, I was going to put it so that it was overlapping at a slant, and then I realised no, that's going to work much better as a corner, so I ended up adding that there. Because it's dark, I can't do any writing on that bit, but it's not taking up too much space, so I know it's going to look good but not distract from my zine. I got another bit of washi tape. I do have quite a few washi tapes, to be honest, at the moment, and lots of them going with this colour scheme. So this is quite similar to the pink one, but it's more sort of beige with these dark lines. And to finish it off, I decided to get another sticker from that lovely washi sticker pack I got. I really like this one. It's cute. It's got this little girl on it, and she's having a drink and some food with a deer, as you do. It'll be really nice. Not something I've experienced. I've gone back to those vintage books and got a little bit off there. Again, I'm ripping it. This time, hardly any writing on it at all. I kind of think I can use this probably for the title of that page. So it's more for the colour and the texture than anything else. So that's pretty much done. I need to trim it up now because obviously when it gets folded, you don't want bits sticking out. It's really important if you're making a zine, because of course you tend to keep the original for yourself and then colour copy for other people. It's really important that you don't have these bits dangling off or slightly off your sheet, because when it comes to copying, it will get copied there and it will look like it was on the other spread to the one that you did. So it's just good practice to do that as you go around. I try and be as accurate as possible, but those big scissors are not made for little zines. Okay, so on to the next double page spread. So this is going to be inside page 3 and 4. I like to have something a bit different on each page, so I thought I'd go for some blue. Matches the blue on the title page, obviously, and the blue on the cottage, and it goes with the theme. I like the flowers on it, so it's something a bit different. Not good for writing on, so I needed to find something else that was going to work with that. These postcard ones are really nice, and I thought I can fit lots of writing on there. I had a look as well at, again, making my page a bit symmetrical, like double page 1 and 2. Wasn't happy with that. In the end, I decided I was going to use it actually in the middle of the double page spread. Don't do this very often, but it really does bring the double page together, because obviously it matches up perfectly when you're copying it. I needed some space for writing though, so I've got this beautiful set of papers. They actually came 12 by 12 size, and they're just stunning. I've used them for other bits of artwork, but I just found this one small corner in my stash, and I thought it looks pretty and it's perfect for writing on. It's got that paleness that I can go over, so I loved that, wanted to stick that on. To kind of match with the fact that my blue went over the double page, I got one of my washi tapes again and put it across the top just to bring that together. And again, get rid of some of that stark white. I don't feel like the stark white goes so well with this journal that I'm trying to create. Those postcard sheets, really good for writing on. Seen them before in this scene. Wanted to make it look a little bit different, so I've gone for a jaunty angle. Like I said, I like it a bit higgledy-piggledy. So I've gone for this jaunty angle, but still felt this page is missing something. It's not my favourite double page spread, I've got to be honest. It needed something to kind of bring it together. So I went back to my stickers. I really like these sort of hairbands that they had that I've put in the top corner. And then I thought, this tree, gosh, the colours of that. It's such a gorgeous autumn tree. I thought I'll put that in the corner of the other one. So I've got some space for writing. Now we can see that it obviously needs a lot of trimming here. Everything's hanging off. So back to my, I'd say, trusted big scissors, but as I said, not a fan of using these ones with my mini zines. Could do with something a little bit smaller. Can't even get it in the right place with these scissors, hence me having to turn the piece of paper over. But got it done, all trimmed. And then, as I said, I don't like to throw away even the small bits. And as I was getting the pieces out to put away, I saw that left over part from the gorgeous 12 by 12 paper that I just stuck on. On the back, it's got these really lovely dark browny reds. I really wanted to add it somewhere to the page because I still felt like the page was missing something. Tried it in lots of spaces, wasn't sure where to go. In the end, I thought, well, it's kind of like a title rectangle. I know I'm not going to be able to write on it, but I could stick things near it. So I ended up putting it on that left-hand side. In the end, I was quite happy with the page. Of course, we'll see what it looks like when I've got some text on it later. So I've turned my page upside down again. So now you can see the front cover is back in the bottom right-hand corner. And we're going to do the third double page spread. So pages 5 and 6 from the inside. I've got quite a few pieces of paper that are from different packets but work really well in my stash together. So I just placed them down so I could look at them against what I'd already done and my front cover and see what's going to work well on this double page spread. So I've chosen this lighter coloured floral paper, done a rip down the side. I really like the tearing effect that you can get with that, especially when you see the white as a contrast. And I've used this other paper which has got a really lovely vintage feel to it. Lots and lots of text on it though, so not great for me to write on when it's time to make my journal properly with all of the written tips and tricks inside. But I like the way it looks, so I've chosen to stick that down, and I've gone quite central compared to top and bottom. And then the ripped piece that I did, I'm putting on the side. So obviously when that's done, I need to think about where am I going to put the writing, because there's no good having a page in a mini journal with no writing. Every space counts. So I've actually got another postcard piece of paper here, but I've turned it over. You might be wondering why I would do that and put glue all over the nice printed side, but it was kind of like a mint green. I didn't like it with the colour scheme. And the back of the papers, they're an off-white. They're not like this really harsh white that you get with copier paper. So I preferred that than just using some plain A4 paper. So I popped that on, and a little bit of washi tape, bit of blue to match with the front cover again. And I started going for a really symmetrical page on this one. I know I talked a bit about symmetry on pages 1 and 2, but my piece of paper that I've chosen, again, high text, but not the same as the one on the left-hand page. I've made it line up exactly, and I've used the other half of my ripped piece of paper that I made earlier and then stuck it on the right-hand side. So you can see it's looking really symmetrical now. Again, one of those postcard pieces, the mint green one I don't like, turned over so that I've got space for writing in. So I put that nice and symmetrically as well. But although I do love a bit of symmetry, I'm a bit higgledy-piggledy. I just like it, so it's a little bit different. So I was checking out which washi tape I could use instead of the blue, just so that it stands out as being slightly different. And I went for a slightly different angle on where I was placing it. But in the end, I was really pleased with this one. It's going to be a really good double page for writing lots of information on, instead of just small bits here and there. So I'm looking forward to completing that page. Once I've got rid of all of those little ends, trim them off, there's only one space left. And this is page 8, or the back cover. Now, sometimes I do just use the back cover as a back cover, and it's just created beautifully with collage, with no writing. Not decided yet on the content for this zine and which bits I'm going to put in. So I wanted to give myself a little bit of an option anyway. You saw this floral paper earlier when I was trying to choose what to put on pages 5 and 6, but it's so bold I thought it worked really well for a back cover. So I've glued that quite centrally. And this robin that I am not very fussy cutting out is from a copy of the same postcard that's on the front cover. So I thought that linked nicely. I don't like to fussy cut really, really close. It can look beautiful, but to be honest, my cutting skills aren't quite there, especially with these horrid scissors. So I just went for a bit round the outside. There was also the postmark section where you put your stamp on a postcard, so I cut that out too. In the end, I decided not to use it, but I thought it might also link to what was on the front cover, and it looked quite cute. So once I've got those bits, I decided I do want some space in case I do want to do some writing, and there's no way I could write on this brown floral paper. So I found a lighter coloured paper that I can use just on part of it. It's exactly the same width as the brown floral. So the brown floral is taking up most of the room. We've only got a little bit of white on either side. Here's my ripped piece that I can use. It's got some writing on already, but I thought I can definitely work with that. I can put extra things over it. If you'd not realised, it's the same soap one that I used for pages 1 inside the zine. I've popped my robin at the edge, and I'll just trim his tail off a little bit once he's glued on. And I thought about the stamp in the top right hand corner, but in the end it just wasn't doing anything for me. I thought I didn't need it to be there, so got rid of that. Finished off the back cover with, again, a little bit of that vintage book paper, ripped, so nicely torn and glued on the bottom, which kind of mirrors what we've got on the front cover. So pop that on, and that's it done. So bit of trimming so that we can get rid of those overhanging pieces that I've done on my last page, the back cover, and then it's ready to fold up once it's all trimmed down. I'm just getting rid of those edges so they don't end up on the front cover, because I wouldn't want to ruin that. So all completed. I can fold it up the way I folded it before. And here's my finished zine. So my front cover, all of my inside pages, they will eventually be filled with text, and this will be available on my Etsy store. Thanks for watching.